The United States is one out of 193 countries in the United Nations, and yet we pay 22% of the entire budget and more. In fact, we pay far more than anybody realizes. We can no longer be taken advantage of or enter into a one-sided deal where the United States gets nothing in return.
All right. So President Trump says some changes are in order. With us now, NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg. He is about to host a lunch with President Trump in just moments, so I appreciate his taking the time. Now, Secretary General, what did you make of what the president said, that we're essentially in the United States not getting what we pay for?
That's a message about fair burden sharing. That has been a message from President Trump, both in the UN and in NATO. And I think it is important to work for fair burden sharing in international organizations like NATO and the UN. And in NATO we see that European allies and Canada are now stepping up. For the first time in many, many years, they are now not decreasing but increasing defense spending, which strengthens NATO but also contributes to a fairer burden sharing within the alliance. And also in the UN, we need to be focused on how can we make sure that all countries contribute their fair share.
The president also referred to the North Korean leader, sir, as a rocket man, that we would take it upon ourselves to deal militarily, to wipe out North Korea if we had to. What did you think of that language?
President Trump is a president who has used a strong language before. He often uses strong rhetoric. And for me, the important thing is that the international community is united in condemning North Korea developing nuclear weapons and the long-range missiles, and also united in the effort to stop North Korea from continuing to do so. And therefore we need strong economic sanctions. We need all diplomatic and political efforts we can have to make sure that North Korea is not successful in developing these weapons.
Still, sir, he did say again and again that the U.S. will have no choice but to destroy North Korea if forced. And that got the foreign press across the world lighting up, even Democratic critics here in the United States. Do you think that was appropriate language?
The United States has the right to defend itself and allies, and North Korea is a threat to the entire world. It's a global threat which requires a global response. But I think at the same time we all see that we should continue to work for a peaceful solution, because military actions is always dangerous and can always create even more difficult situations. So we will continue to work for a political solution.
Secretary, is it your sense that this could end up in war, that the sanctions after sanctions, emergency meeting after emergency meeting, whether the U.S. acts alone or in concert with the UN, that North Korea is leaving us with no other choice?
I will be careful speculating, but I will say that there is no easy way out of this situation. As long as North Korea continues to violate so many UN resolutions and continue to develop their nuclear weapons and missile capabilities. We need to continue to try to find a room between doing nothing and just watch North Korea developing these weapons and using military force, which is always a very dangerous and difficult tool to use. And therefore we need to continue to work for strong sanctions and continue to push and press North Korea to stop developing these weapons. This is not easy, but I think we still have to focus on this.
Secretary General, thank you. I know you have a crazy schedule. We do appreciate it. Jens Stoltenberg, the NATO Secretary General, joining us from the United Nations. Thank you, sir.